This is cool. The only hijacking never solved. This is one of the holy grails.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most amazing and memorable items to have made it onto Pawn Stars.
I have a very, very unique piece of Beatles memorabilia.
Number 30, dinosaur eggs.
What do we have here?
I've been told these are a couple dinosaur eggs.
We're going back for this one. Like, way, way back. A woman named Rhonda comes into the shop wielding what looks like a big rock, but she claims that they're dinosaur eggs. And upon further inspection, yep, those are eggs all right. She asks for a staggering $20,000, prompting Corey to bring in an expert. A paleontologist comes a-calling and confirms that the eggs belong to a duck-billed dinosaur and are indeed about 80 million years old. It's certainly fascinating, but they're only worth about $600 owing to their prevalence on the international market. Rhonda ultimately walks away with a cool $500.
I'm glad the dinosaur eggs checked out. They may not be from a T-Rex, but they'll still freak Chum out when I tell him they're gonna hatch.
Number 29, 1915 Panama Pacific octagonal coin.
A little birdie told me that you had an octagon Pan Pacific $50 gold piece.
I do. Would you like to see it?
This one is a little bit different, as it's actually Rick going out to find some treasure. He attends a coin auction in Orlando on behalf of a dedicated customer who is looking for a specific piece. Well, Rick finds it. It's a coin from the 1915 Panama Pacific International Exposition that was held in San Francisco. The exposition served dual purposes: to honor the opening of the Panama Canal and celebrate the city's recovery from the massive 1906 earthquake. He finds a mint coin for $70,000 and one that was improperly cleaned for $48,000. He ultimately buys the good one for $67,500 and plans to sell it to his customer for the full $70,000. Not a bad day's work.
You know this business. I'm not making a lot of money on this.
And neither am I. So out of courtesy, I'll do $67.5.
Number 28, a signed Martin Luther King speech.
You got some MLK stuff.
Yeah, this is a speech against the Vietnam War that he signed.
Autographs always make for a great collectible. Enter Stuart Lutz, who has a signed speech from Martin Luther King Jr. The speech, titled The Casualties of the War in Vietnam, was spoken in 1967 and has been transcribed for a book. Found right above the speech is King's signature, simply reading, "Best wishes, Martin Luther King Jr." The item's value is raised by numerous factors, including the authentic signature and the rarity of an anti-Vietnam speech, as King had been continuously advised against making one. Stewart asks $12,500, and funnily enough, Rick's expert agrees, stating that it's easily worth $12,000. Stewart ultimately lets it go for $10,000, owing to his and Rick's friendship.
We take $9,000 for it?
I know you gotta make some money on it. You've been good to me in the past. Did you do 10?
Number 27, the Wayne's World car.
So this is it. This is the car.
This is the Wayne's World car.
Vehicles bring good money. Movie merchandise brings good money. Combine the two and you have one of the best finds in Pawn Stars history. While still in Orlando, Rick checks out the car they used for Wayne's World, which had been obtained from a museum by the seller. The car includes the iconic paint and flame decals, and even the camera mounts used for filming the interior scenes. However, it doesn't run and needs a lot of work to look camera ready. It's because of this that Rick buys the car for a mere $9,500. You know what we have to say about that?
Right, excellent. Woo! Okay.
Number 26, an Ides of March coin.
Is Brutus on the other side?
Yes.
Damn.
Back on March 15th, 44 BC, Roman statesman Julius Caesar was assassinated at the Theater of Pompeii. Everyone knows that story. What you may not know is that a special coin was struck to commemorate the occasion. Featuring 2 daggers and a bust of Brutus, it was made shortly after Caesar's death, and only 100 have survived to the modern day. Unsurprisingly, owner John asks $150,000 for the extremely rare collectible. An expert confirms that the coin is real and values it between $125,000 and $150,000. Naturally, Rick isn't forking that over and offers John $110,000. John ultimately walks and takes his amazing piece with him.
It all boils down to this coin. This is Brutus celebrating the fact that he murdered Julius Caesar on the Ides of March.
Number 25, elephant dung.
How you doing?
Oh, okay.
What do you got here?
I've got a phenomenal opportunity here.
A lot of weird things walk through the door of the gold and silver pawn shop, including a can of elephant poop. It comes from the Washington Park Zoo, with the can proclaiming that it is, quote, nature's most potent fertilizer. We'll take their word for it. Owner West theorizes that it's simply a novelty item sold by the zoo. And yeah, that sounds more accurate. He's asking $10,000, but is willing to give it away for just $5. What a hustler. The old man says no way, but Chumlee is a sucker for novelty items and gives West $20 for the can. Not bad for a heap of doo-doo.
I know there's a sucker born every minute, but if this guy is trying to sell canned manure, he's barking up the wrong tree.
Number 24, duck press. Don't you hate having a 19th century duck press laying around collecting dust? That was the problem that Keith had. So he brought the item into the pawn shop hoping to get a fair price.
I decided to come down here to the pawn shop today to try to sell my 1800s duck press. I'd like to sell it today because it's sitting around the house collecting dust.
What is a duck press, you may ask? Well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. The press extracts the blood and bone marrow from a roasted carcass, which is then combined with butter and cognac to make a special sauce. This is considered a delicacy in France. The old man offers $1,500, but Keith declines, as he wanted closer to $3,000.
It's a French delicacy. Gross.
Number 3, tonsilletome.
These are 1800 tonsillectomy tools, or what you call a tonsilletome.
We are extremely lucky to have the health practices that we do today. Removing tonsils is no big deal now, but that wasn't the case in 1827 when the tonsilletome was invented. This barbaric device grabbed the tonsils, pierced them with forks to hold them in place, and then sheared them off with a blade. Yeah, the 19th century was fun. Disgusting or not, the tool is incredibly cool from a historic perspective. As the owner claims, medical collectors love these kinds of things. She lets them go for $800, which was only $300 off her original asking price.
Pretty disgusting stuff. I'm a little horrified by these, but part of me just has to have them. There's actually people that pay good money for creepy stuff like this.
Number 22, blood transfusion kit.
These are the bottles that the blood was transferred through.
Like human blood?
Human blood.
The idea of blood transfusions began in the 17th century, with the first successful animal to human transfer occurring in June of 1667. A woman named Artie brings in an old transfusion kit that was produced by New York's C.M. Sorensen Company. She believes that it dates from the late 1800s, but Chumlee isn't convinced and places it in the mid-20th century owing to the modern type of metal. Either way, it's very interesting, and it allows us to see how an extremely complicated medical procedure was once practiced. Chum buys it for $125, despite knowing nothing about it or how much similar items are worth. Let's hope he made a good deal.
Yeah, I'm interested in buying the thing, but I'm not sure if it's worth much. I'm gonna go ahead and take a chance. Maybe I'll make the guys proud of me.
Number 21, Order of the White Eagle Medallion.
I mean, this was a whole drawn-out process to do this. This was not something cheap to make.
First instituted back in 1705, the Order of the White Eagle is the Order of Merit issued in Poland, awarded to citizens who have done a great service to the country and the world at large. It is one of the oldest distinctions that is still being awarded to this day, and one of the medallions found its way onto Pawn Stars. Owner KJ claims that he got it at a garage sale for 75 cents, so someone clearly didn't know how incredibly valuable their belonging was. Or they just didn't care. Well, KJ does, and he sells it to Rick for $6,000. $5,999.25 profit. Now, that is not a bad day's work.
Bought it for 75 cents. I sold it for $6,000. I feel ecstatic.
Number 20, Jimi Hendrix guitar.
American-made Fender Stratocaster. This guitar was actually played by Jimi Hendrix.
That's a big wow factor right there.
The Pawn Stars love them some guitars, and in this episode, they hit upon a big one. A man came in claiming that he had Jimi Hendrix's 1963 Fender Stratocaster, a guitar that Hendrix played in the studio.
If this was actually owned and played by the legend himself, This will be the coolest guitar ever to walk into my shop.
They quickly discovered its legitimacy through the serial number, and the appraiser valued the guitar at a whopping $1 million. Now that's one expensive guitar. Rick offered the owner $450,000 before working up to an offer of $600,000.
Six?
I can't do it, man.
However, the owner wasn't willing to part with anything less than a cool mill, and Rick lost out on a piece of rock history.
You want to come to a fair point in selling something of great value, don't be desperate about it. And that I am not.
Number 19. 1715 Spanish Fleet Coin. During the second season of Pawn Stars, a man walked into the shop with an old gold coin that had been inherited from his grandfather.
Coins back then were weird. The size didn't have to be exactly correct. It just had to have the right amount of gold, the right weight, and the right purity.
The coin was dated from 1715 and was just one small part of a large haul containing over 14 million pesos of silver and gold.
And in this corner, there's an L, that means Lima, Peru Mint. 8 is the denomination, biggest gold coin the Spanish made.
The ship was making its way from Havana to Spain when it was struck by a hurricane and sunk off the coast of Florida.
I would put a price tag of $18,000 on it.
Okay.
The owner's particular gold coin was in exceptional condition, and he asked for $2,000, but the gold expert pegged it around $18,000. An agreement was quickly struck for a solid $11,000, which was $9,000 more than what the owner expected.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It's like finding treasure.
Absolutely.
Number 18. Dainatura Fossilium. Dainatura Fossilium is a scientific text on rocks and minerals, written by George Bauer and also called Georgius Agricola, which was published in 1546. It was the first sediment-based scientific text since Pliny the Elder published his natural history in AD 77.
I don't know what the book is worth, but if it did belong to Isaac Newton, it should be worth thousands.
It's certainly a special find by itself, but what made this particular copy even more special is that it was owned by none other than Sir Isaac Newton.
What's the book about?
It's about geology and mining that Newton was very much into.
Doesn't look like it's in English.
It's in Latin.
A special bookplate certified that it was indeed owned by Newton and stored in his personal library.
This number here, J9-S7, is Newton's shelf number where he would have stored the book.
The appraiser gave the book a rough value of $20,000, but the owner ended up letting it go for a measly $7,000 in what may be one of the worst deals in Pawn Stars history. Number 17. 17th century ship bell. Rick is a sucker for shipwreck items, so when a woman brought in an antique ship bell belonging to the Dutch East India Company, he was in pawn shop heaven.
This is my 1602 Shipwreck Dutch East India Company bell.
Despite Rick's enthusiasm, the old man had doubts regarding its validity, as he thought the bell was in too good shape.
I don't think this thing was in salt water for any period of time to mount to anything.
He believed that a genuine bell that had been in salt water for an extended period of time would be far more degraded. However, an expert stated that the ship likely crashed in shallow water and that the bell was never actually submerged.
90% of all shipwrecks are in shallow water. In fact, most of them are sticking up. They hit the reef and they pretty much stay there. The bell's genuine.
He ended up valuing the antique bell at $15,000. Number 16. 1961 Les Paul SG guitar. Les Paul was a pioneer of the electric guitar, and his eponymous guitars are both wickedly popular and stylish.
Les Paul's more or less a legend. Basically, everything about a modern electric guitar was invented by him.
Paul was married to Mary Ford, and the two had 16 top 10 hits as husband and wife musical duo, Les Paul and Mary Ford. Ford's nephew brought in a custom 1961 Gibson SG, and because it had personal history with Paul and Ford, its value was significantly inflated.
Dude, this is amazing. I can't even believe I'm holding this in my hands.
The guitar expert, Jesse Amoroso, was blown away by the find and honored to hold a piece of musical history, eventually valuing the guitar at a whopping $150,000.
I mean, I don't really have any doubts on this guitar. This is history, dude. It's easily a six-figure guitar.
After some back and forth, the owner walked away with a check for $90,000. Number 15, 1922 high relief peace dollar.
High relief matte finish coin.
Where did you get this?
I won it at a poker game.
You never know what you'll win in a poker game. A man came into the shop asking $20,000 for a fancy coin he had won in a poker game. A coin expert identified the coin as a legitimate 1922 high-relief peace dollar, which according to him is one of the rarest coins in American history.
The 1922 high-relief peace dollar is one of the rarest coins in American history.
He then valued the coin between $50,000 and $100,000, which, if you're good at math, you'll realize is a little more than $20,000. The man eventually sold the peace dollar to Rick for $80,000, which is a little on the low side, apparently. But hey, we wouldn't complain about earning $80,000.
Meet me in the middle at 80 and you got a deal.
It's a deal.
All right, okay.
Number 14, Gibson SJ200 Master Museum Guitar. A man walked into the shop claiming to have the most beautiful acoustic guitar, and it certainly is beautiful.
And this was actually the very first Master Museum. This is serial number 1. Master Museum series is a collection of acoustic guitars, really high-end, really ornate.
The guitar is a custom Gibson SJ200 built by a man named Ren Ferguson. This particular guitar is the very first Master Museum, serial number 1. The owner was asking for a surprisingly low $50,000, and in came guitar expert Jesse Amoroso to take a look.
Wow, sounds as good as it looks.
Yes, it does.
This is as good as it gets. This is the Rolex Presidential of Gibson guitars.
He called the guitar the Rolex Presidential of Gibson guitars and valued it between $50,000 and $60,000, owing to its historical importance.
I'm hesitant even to drop to 48. I really don't want to move for my price.
The owner, who proudly stood firm in his valuation of $50,000, reluctantly let it go for $48,000. Number 13, the Book of Mormon. Here, a fellow walks into the shop with a piece of American history, the Book of Mormon.
This is a version that was printed actually in 1842. This one wasn't printed in many copies, maybe 600 something copies. So I was going to ask something on the order of like $25,000 for it.
Damn.
The book was first published by a Joseph Smith in 1830, and Adams' 5th edition copy was printed in 1842. According to the customer, it was also the last edition published in Joseph Smith's lifetime, as he died in June of 1844.
The Book of Mormon is not just a book of theology, it's really a book that talks about the American experience. This is the 5th edition, and this was the last one that was actually printed in Joseph Smith's lifetime.
As Rick said, it's not just an important religious manuscript, but one of the most valuable pieces of American literature. The appraiser, Rebecca Romney of Bowman Rare Books, valued the book at $40,000, making it the most valuable book that had ever been appraised by Rebecca.
I would appraise this book actually at about $40,000.
Oh.
Adam walked away with $24,000, only $1,000 less than what he was originally asking.
You gave me an extra $1,000 last time. This time I'll give it to you, so we'll do it that way.
It's a deal.
When Rebecca said $40,000, I felt it was like, maybe like Joseph Smith when he found the plates. Hallelujah.
Number 12, 1932 Lincoln Convertible V12.
I have a 1932 Lincoln Convertible V12.
Yeah, the cast of Pawn Stars loves them some guitars, but they really love them some cars. A man known as Uncle Phil offered the men of the pawn shop a 1932 Lincoln Convertible V12, a fancy car that included the Lincoln L-head V12 engine.
It's crazy that Lincoln made this badass ride at the height of the Great Depression.
It could produce up to an impressive 150 horsepower, which for the era was quite impressive, and it competed with the Cadillac V12 in its day. And to think, this baby was manufactured during the Great Depression. It's a luxury car, which, according to Rick, can fetch up to $170,000, provided it's in mint condition.
In perfect condition, this could sell as high as $170,000 at auction.
However, the car had a few minor imperfections, so Rick managed to snag it for $95,000.
We could do gold. We take 95?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Number 11, ancient coin. Anything from the ancient period is sure to fetch a pretty penny, even their pretty pennies. A woman walked in with an ancient coin, stating that she had picked it up at an estate sale without really knowing what it was.
He was a king, and he conquered a bunch of land.
The coin is a King of Pontus coin, bearing the image of Mithridates VI. Also known as Mithridates the Great for his military prowess, he served as King of Pontus and Armenia Minor from 120 to 63 BCE.
He was descended on his mother's side from Greek kings like Alexander, and on his father's side, from Persian kings.
The owner was asking $15,000 for the ancient coin, but the appraiser valued it as just $10,000. Rick offered the woman $5,500, but she rejected the offer and decided to shop around, promising to return if she failed to find a buyer.
If I still have it in a month or two, would you still be willing to buy it at that time?
Yeah, as long as the world hasn't come to an end or anything like that, yeah.
Sounds good.
Well, have a nice day.
Thank you.
Number 10. Egyptian mummy mask. Egyptian mummies and mummy fashionings are renowned the world over, often posing as major museum pieces. But some make their way to pawn shops.
How old is it?
It is believed to be from 2nd century AD.
This thing is almost 2,000 years old, and it's in amazing shape.
A man brought in an authentic Egyptian cartonnage mummy mask, complete with the original coloring. It's a gorgeous piece of work dated from 2100 BCE, and the seller claimed that he would take between $30,000 and $70,000 for it.
Here's the deceased riding on the back of a lion. That would only happen with a royal person.
So, is it real?
From what I can see. This is real.
An expert who looks like he came straight from Jumanji was invited to the shop and valued the piece at $20,000, greatly disappointing the owner. However, he got one over on Corey after some tense back and forth, securing his goal of $30,000.
All right, you want 30 for it? I'll do 30 right now.
Right now?
Right now. That's it. Ready?
$30,000.
$30,000.
My man, you got a deal.
All right, deal.
Number 9. 16th century Spanish gold bar. The Pawn Stars see a lot of gold. Like the time 4 1-kilogram gold bars with a value of nearly $130,000 were brought into the shop. But one of the most interesting pieces of gold that they've aired has to be a Spanish gold bar from the 1500s. The owner literally found the gold bar hiding away in an attic and discovered that it belonged to a 1554 shipwreck off the coast of Texas. The melted down value of the gold was $24,000, although the bar in its current historical state was valued at $50,000. Rick eventually handed over $35,000 for the bar, a comfortable spot between its meltdown and historical value. Number 8. 1961 Fender Stratocaster. You may not know the name Vic Flick, but the man has been around. Flick was a studio musician from the late 50s to the early 80s who played with the likes of Nancy Sinatra and Tom Jones.
I've worked on records with Nancy Sinatra and Petula Clark, Tom Jones. It's not unusual.
All right. So were you like a studio musician?
I was, from 1958 till about 1983.
Perhaps his main claim to fame is that he played the famous guitar riff on the original James Bond theme. So yeah, you know his work. In this episode, he was selling his 1961 Fender Stratocaster, which was valued at $70,000. According to the appraiser, that specific guitar can be heard on a lot of popular songs from the 60s and 70s, perhaps more than we even think.
You've heard this guitar probably more times than you even realize. You've heard this particular guitar.
Probably true, yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think it's worth?
Easily $60,000, $70,000.
Vic was happy to walk away with $55,000, saying he and his wife would pop out for a beer or two to celebrate.
I knew he'd probably go for 55, and I'm happy. Now I've got the money in my back pocket, I think the wife and I will just pop out for a beer or two and celebrate the occasion.
Number 7. George Washington suit.
Drum roll.
Whoa. So is this George Washington's too?
It is.
Season 15 saw one of the greatest items in Pawn Stars history, a suit worn by none other than George Washington. The silk suit is from the mid-18th century and was originally pink in color, before time did its thing and washed out all the dye.
Back then, it was pink. And you can still see some of the pink in this area.
At the time, pink was a fashionable color that signified success and luxury. As you can imagine, a suit worn by George Washington will fetch a bit of money. And the seller was asking $3 million.
So how much?
I wouldn't sell for less than $3 million.
That was, however, a little too much for Rick, who offered $2 million before bowing out. Maybe now the seller can sell or donate the suit to a museum, where it should have been all along.
Since we're friends, the best price, absolute best price would be $2.5 million.
Okay, and you're firm at that?
Absolutely firm at that.
I mean, okay, well, I guess the suit's out then.
Number 6. The O.J. Simpson Bronco.
It is the O.J. Bronco.
Are you kidding me? I've never seen anything quite like this.
The image of a white Ford Bronco became a piece of American history on the afternoon of June 17, 1994, when Simpson and Al Cowlings entered into a low-speed chase with the police after a warrant was issued for Simpson's arrest. Nearly 25 years later, that very same Bronco wound up on Pawn Stars. The seller, who was OJ's agent at the time, states that he had previously turned down an offer of $500,000 and asked Rick for $1.3 million.
How much you want for this?
$1.3 million. Yeah, think about it. It's a one of a kind.
However, Rick thought buying the Bronco was too much of a gamble and passed, telling the seller that he should take the SUV to an auction.
I'm gonna pass on it.
Okay.
With something like this, it's so much of a gamble because there's nothing to compare it to its price.
Right. I'll never sell the Bronco for under $1 million. I know it's worth that, and if it's not, it will be.
Number 5. Harry Houdini's straitjacket. Houdini is perhaps the most famous illusionist and stunt performer in history. With his name being basically synonymous with magic, he was renowned in the early 20th century for his thrilling escape acts, which included freeing himself from a straitjacket. One of these straitjackets was brought into the shop by a man asking for a hefty $100,000.
Theo Houdini was notorious for selling things that were supposed to belong to Houdini that didn't belong to Houdini.
He claims that the jacket was given to him by his grandfather, who was a good friend of Houdini's brother, Theodore Hardin. This caused some consternation with Rick, who claims that Theodore would often sell things supposedly but not actually belonging to his brother.
Swanfeld Tent and Awning Company.
I thought for sure there was no way we could prove this was Houdini's, and now we have a positive clue.
It proved to be the real deal and was valued at roughly $40,000, but the owner walked away after Rick offered $25,000.
You know, I think I'll keep it.
Okay.
I'm always here, man.
Awesome, thank you guys. Forget the numbers. The most exciting thing is to actually have the expert come in and find an actual photograph of Harry Houdini wearing my jacket. Absolutely blew me away, blew me away.
Number 4, D.B. Cooper Bill. D.B. Cooper is one of the most famous thieves of all time. He hijacked a Boeing 727 in 1971, extorting the modern equivalent of $1.2 million before parachuting out of the airplane. Cooper's fame comes from the fact that he's never been identified or captured, making this the only unsolved case of air piracy.
You have a piece of a $20 bill.
It is a piece of a $20 bill from the D.B. Cooper hijacking.
However, various ransom bills have been found and collected, and a small piece of one eventually made its way onto Pawn Stars.
The initials that are on this bill are actually the FBI agent who was cataloging all the pieces of the bills. And I've got a certificate of authenticity.
The owner was looking to flip $20 into $2,000, but ended up getting $1,600 instead. Less than what he wanted and far less than what Cooper potentially walked away with back in 1971. Number 3, JFK's humidor.
I have John F. Kennedy's cigar box he used in the White House.
JFK was a bit of a cigar aficionado, among other things, and Rick was lucky enough to come face to face with his personal cigar box. Included in the package was the humidor itself, as well as 8 individually wrapped cigars.
The box contains 11 hand-rolled cigars wrapped in clear plastic. What do we got there?
8. There's a few missing.
So someone smoked 3 of the cigars?
Not me. That's how I got it.
According to the official document written by JFK's secretary, the humidor was given to the president as a birthday present on May 29th, 1962, just 18 months before he was assassinated.
This is one of those once-in-a-lifetime items. If I let this thing walk out the door, I'm never gonna see another one like it.
The seller was asking for a relatively meager $95,000, but walked away with just $60,000.
How much are you asking?
Well, as you know, the other comparable one went for $500,000 or so. I need some quick cash, or else I would just put that in an auction and get 150, 200 grand, whatever it's gonna go for. I'll give it to you for $95,000.
We're not experts or anything, but that seems like a really small amount for such a personal piece of history.
I took 60. It's fine because if I would have put it in an auction, I would have had to wait about 6 months. We need money now to get this new facility, so I'm good.
Number 2, the Beatles' original contract.
I actually got one of the most important documents in rock and roll history. The contract between Brian Epstein, who was the manager, and the Beatles, creating the partnership between the two of them.
When it comes to the most important pieces of musical history, The Beatles' original contract is pretty freaking high on the list. The seller put it nicely when he called it the holy grail of rock and roll. The contract was between the Beatles and their manager Brian Epstein, and it stated that Epstein would receive 25% of all Beatles royalties.
Brian Epstein was a genius. He basically transformed the Beatles from an unknown band playing small clubs into the biggest rock band ever. When he died, he couldn't be replaced, and it played a large role in the Beatles breaking up.
Epstein served as a major influence on the Beatles' image and popularity, and was even referred to as the fifth Beatle before he died of an accidental sleeping pill overdose in 1967. Despite the seller asking for $1 million, it was professionally valued at $500,000.
There's no question that this is genuine. I'd put the value of this piece right at around $500,000.
Rick pounced and offered just $350,000, and the seller was forced to walk away.
I would go $350. That's cash right now. If you don't take that, I would wait for another auction.
I'm going to have to decline on the $350.
Good luck with it.
I appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. 3,000 ounces of silver.
I got some 90% silver dimes over here, some quarters. I got these bars, and this thing alone is almost 75 pounds.
It's not often that 3,000 ounces of silver comes through your door, but make hay while the sun shines, right? Jeff, the owner of the silver, wheeled 3,372 ounces of silver into the shop, causing the old man to practically leap from his desk so he could inspect the glorious find.
I've never seen you get up from your desk that quick.
I always get up, son.
Not generally very
Move
quick.
your hand.
Included in the collection were bags of dimes and quarters, numerous silver bars, and a 75-pound brick of pure silver. After doing some headache-inducing math, Rick discovers that the pile was worth about $111,000, which Jeff was happy to accept.
You got $46,000 for the coins, $33,390 for these bars right here. 32.39 times 942 equals. So we got a total of $110,901.
Turns out silver is a pretty good investment. Now, if only we had 3,000 ounces of silver laying around.
I'm really glad my dad taught me to invest, because today I'm walking out with over $100,000.
I'm gonna take one of these, Rick.
No, you're not.
Can you think of any more amazing discoveries? Let us know in the comments.
It's definitely interesting, I tell you that.